Separation between two people has become more common with the time, and with separation, there's often lots of arguments during that time of two people leaving each other. And this is expressed in Raymond Carver's short story Popular Mechanics. If we take a look at the narrator, it's written by a third person narrator, which we can see since the narrator is using words such as he and she, which indicates he's observing the events in the short story. The short story is structured in a minimalistic way and does not offer any background to the conflict. The narrator leaves most of the plot out, so the reader is forced to figure it out by themselves. And if we take a look at the setting, the short story takes place in a home of a male and a female. We don't know if they are in a relationship. However, they do have a baby, so we know that they somehow are connected. We also learn at the beginning at the short story, in the short story, that it takes place in a town, which we can see at line 3. Cars slash by on the street outside. So we here get the idea that the short story is happening in a town or a city. Um, and also, the short story starts with describing the bad weather outside, and there's also use of foreshadowing. For example, at line 3, but it was getting darker on the inside too. So here the reader kind of gets the impression that something is going to happen. Also, with describing the bad weather outside and then describing the bad weather on the inside, the reader gets the idea that something is going to happen, and it sort of gives the story a negative tone. If we take a look at the characters and the relationship between the female and the male, we don't know if they're in a relationship. However, we can assume they are somehow connected due to the fact they have a baby that they both are fighting over to keep. Um, Furthermore, we don't know why they're leaving each other. However, we can assume that the male figure in the short story was the one to break things off between the two, which we can see at line 10. I'm glad you're leaving. I'm glad you're leaving. Do you hear? This indicates that she is truly hurt by him leaving and she does not want him to leave. She actually wishes that he would stay and they would figure this out. So she's really hurt. Also, they're both very selfish, which is seen when they're both fighting to keep the baby. The woman is more verbal aggressive, which comes to the expression during the fight when she says things such as son of a bitch and for God's sake. Meanwhile, the man seems more physical aggressive due to the fact that he all of a sudden grabs out after the baby. His aggressive behavior also comes to the expression at line 55 to 57. Um, he crowded her into the wall, then trying to break her grip, he held on to the baby and pushed with all his weight, following with the sentence, "Let go of him." So he's really, really eager to get a hold on this baby. He doesn't think about the woman. He doesn't think that the baby might get hurt from doing this. He just wants the baby. But it also indicates that he really loves the baby and he is afraid that he will never see the baby if the woman gets the baby. And it's also some sort of revenge. If we take a look at the style of writing, the style of writing is very minimalistic, which there is plenty of examples of in the short story. The short story is characterized by very short sentences, which is a typical minimalistic feature. The short story, the short sentences makes the story more intense. Furthermore, the author did not save on the dialogues. Most part of the story consists of dialogues between the man and the woman, um, which is just another minimalistic feature. In the dialogues between the man and the woman, there is use of repetition. For example, "I'm glad you're leaving. I'm glad you're leaving," and get away," she cried, and "let go of him." Especially the last sentence, "let go of him," is used a lot in this short story by both the man and the woman. Um, Furthermore, the minimalistic style comes to expression with the lack of access to the character's thoughts and does not offer any background to why they fight over the baby and are going through this separation. We might assume that it is inspired by Hemingway's iceberg theory, uh, because we're only shown a tip of the story. We have no access to their thoughts or feeling. We don't know why they're separating. Therefore, we only know a little bit. Meanwhile, there's so much more that we don't know. There's a whole piece of ice that we don't know about this story. And lastly, the short story revolves about everyday life. And in this case, it's separation, which has become more common with the time. And if we take a look at the ending, it's just another minimalistic element in this short story. And at line 79 to 80, but he would not let go. He felt the baby slipping out of his hands and he pulled back very hard. In this manner, the issue was decided. So we don't know what happened in the ending. We don't know if the woman got the baby or if the man got the baby, or is we don't know if the baby got hurt. That's also a possibility due to the fact that we have no idea what happened. So all these three are possibilities that might happen in the end. So the ending is very, very open and it's very minimalistic. So overall, the story has a lot of minimalistic features in it. It also has a few symbols. For example, at line 1, the snow was melting into dirty water. So the snow is symbolizing their relationship. Snow is associated with something beautiful that we like, but when it's melting, we don't like it anymore. So it sort of represents the relationship going from this great thing to broken and destroyed. And also, there's another simple at line 55. In the shovel, they knocked down a flower pot that hung behind the stove. So the flower pot here is describing their broken relationship. The flower pot is knocked down on the floor, and therefore it describes that their relationship is also broken, that it can't be fixed anymore. And if we take a look at the themes, separation is a big theme in this story. It's also a minimalistic feature. And then we have conflict because there is this big conflict about who should have the baby. So a conclusion to this short story. The short story tells us something about how difficult a separation can be and how difficult it is for the couple to choose what belongs to who. In this case, it's a baby. Um, and with the author's minimalistic style, the reader is not offered any background and has no access to the people in the text. Therefore, the reader is forced to reflect over the story by themselves and find the ending for themselves.